This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, May 29th. A farcical plan. That's how the People's Party for Democracy and Development has described government's proposed Barbados Optional Savings Scheme. The program, dubbed BOSS, gives public servants the option of investing a portion of their salaries in government bonds. Those bonds are for 4 years and interest will be paid at 5% per annum. But at a virtual news conference today, PDP spokesperson on tourism and the economy, Scott Weatherhead, said BOSS will increase the economic burden of Barbadians.
Barbados does not need more debt to repay with austerity. We have seen nothing contained in government's BOSS proposal which will produce any form of economic growth in Barbados. It will produce nothing but further suffering and hardship. This so-called BOSS plan will further contract the economy into a deeper recession. It will lead to increased inflation, which is essentially increased retail prices. It will further drain the foreign reserve. It will not reduce our dependence on imports. It will not reduce our consumption of foreign exchange. It will not increase economic activity by any statistically significant margin. It will lead to the few rich business magnates and construction companies getting richer and the poor and middle class in this country getting poorer.
Opposition Senator FRANKLYN also insisted that government did not have the right to pay public servants with bonds. He charges it's illegal to do so.
Because you are forcing people to do something, telling them they're volunteering. You're not volunteering, it's not optional. But you cannot do that simply because, one, the Protection of Wages Act, Section 3, says, subject to subsection 2, in all contracts of employment, the wages of workers shall be made payable in legal tender and not otherwise. And if in any such contract, the whole or any part of such wages is made payable in any other manner, such contract shall be illegal, null, and void. That has been the law of Barbados since 1951.
Meanwhile, the government's senior economic advisor, Dr. Kevin Greenwich, is confident the Barbados economy will hold its own despite the impact of COVID-19. He says government has corrected some fundamentals and he expects the economy to remain on track.
One, high debt, that is on a stable trajectory and downward. Two, reserves, which was almost absent. That apocalyptic horseman has been fixed. We have reserves close to above 20 weeks of import cover. And I still say we are about to go to the IMF board on the 3rd of June, and once that is approved, we will have another disbursement of $49 million under the normal program, US million, and at the same time we get an additional $90 million US dollars because of the COVID to help us respond to it. Many countries in Caribbean are also going on a different arrangement. So that gives another $140 million in reserves by the 3rd of June that will add to it. So 280 Barbados, thank you, Prime Minister. I was quoting US. And so we fixed the reserve problem and we fixed the fiscal. Previous to the program, we had fiscal deficits averaging 7%. We are now running primary surplus, which means that our fiscal accounts in order. We pay down from we had about $1.9 billion in arrears, and after settling off into arrears, we have about $1.2 billion to work with. We now just south of 200 million. So we pay down. So the fiscal income. So that is a third fundamental. And now we've been working on growth. So the fundamentals in check. It means once we get over this COVID period, the economy, and we prepare, and we don't go and do something crazy, then we'll be able to pick back up. So there's no chance. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying we're going to restructure.
In other news this Friday, there were no new positive cases of COVID-19 among the 71 tests conducted by the Best de Santos Public Health Laboratory yesterday. Additionally, no one will be released from isolation today. There are currently 9 persons in isolation. Of the 92 confirmed cases of the viral illness, 76 people have recovered and there have been 7 deaths. The Public Health Laboratory has completed 5,272 tests. Popular entertainer Ishaka McNeil has stepped forward to help improve the plight of the Marshall brothers living in squalor at Holders Hill, St. James. 72-year-old Carl Marshall cares for his disabled 70-year-old brother Frank in a rotted structure. McNeil says he's moved to assist the 2 men to secure a better home, particularly with the hurricane season expected to begin in a matter of days.
I always tell people that when you see a person in dire straits, something is always good to be a brother's keeper. With the impending hurricane season upon us, it gives me great, it brings grave concern to see that two brothers have to be living there. I am a man myself. I don't know what may befall me in life, and I think it's very important that we as a society look at our neighbors, look at our brothers, look at our sisters, to make sure that we can lend help in some way. I made a trip down here to see what was needed, and to my surprise, one of the things that surprised me is that when I came here, I saw the foundation already being built and stuff like that. And having spoken to Mr. Marshall, he said, you know what, I take my pension and I try to use a little bit of it, to try to build up and build it. And at least he's making a start for himself. He's trying to help himself in some way possible. But the conditions that they're in at the present moment, it is really hard for them, and I say that I would take the initiative to go there and ask some questions, call some people and ask some questions if we could get some help and stuff. I've got some wonderful response so far. I think that is important that, I keep pressing on and asking questions who else can come on board, so that the main thing is to make sure that all things are in place legally in terms of the ownership of the land, in terms of, all things are up to date and stuff, so before we start doing anything.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region now, there are reports of high levels of anxiety among teachers in Jamaica who are scheduled to return to the classroom come Monday, June 8. We get more in this report from Television Jamaica.
We have limitations whereby much of what is needed to be done requires a government that is fully empowered or has the full power to get it done. Through parliament and so forth. We don't have this fiscal space as a country currently. And in order for us to establish that space to borrow, to fulfill the kind of subsidies for social safety nets and to fulfill health supplies and also to provide support to businesses, any stimulus or any support the government is going to have to raise capital, and in that context, they will have to borrow. And such borrowings and such approvals require the government to have all of its footing together done. I've heard that there have been calls for a complete lockdown. Now that is going to be, and that is being done because of some people operating very irresponsible and not following the health guidelines and so forth, causing the government wanting to take harsher steps. So to avoid a complete lockdown, I would like to implore all of the citizens of the country to follow the health guidelines.
To international news, the white Minneapolis policeman who pinned and unarmed George Floyd with a knee to the neck before he later died was arrested and charged with murder. County Attorney Mike Freeman made the announcement today after 3 nights of violent protests rocked the Midwestern city.
I understand clearly there is no trust in many of our communities, but I'm asking you to help us. Help us use humane way to get the streets to a place where we can restore the justice so that those that are expressing rage and anger and demanding justice are heard.
But he said that first the state's National Guard would work to restore order following 3 nights of unrest.
Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir?
Walz also apologized for the arrest of a CNN TV crew who were let off in handcuffs while reporting live on television early on Friday close to a police precinct that was burned overnight. U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday at a news conference did not take questions about the controversy in Minnesota, but did weigh in on the arrest earlier in the day with incendiary language that prompted Twitter to hide his tweet behind a warning that accused him of, quote, glorifying violence in violation of its rules. Trump tweeted, These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. Any difficulty, and we will assume control. But when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.